Hey, this is Matt Connors, and I'm back in Silo detailing a little bit more about the way that I'm using Silo, especially with some other tools. So, you might have seen some of the other series or learned a little bit about Silo. What I really like about Silo is it's a very straightforward interface. It's not that complicated, and it has similar tool sets to other 3D applications, but it's pretty kind of cheap and cheerful. There's most of the tools of what I need, which is polygonal modeling, that's fairly extensive, and then the ability to do UV mapping on a given object. So this is something that I've been working on a while ago. It was this kind of alien that I started building out, and as you can see, it's not perfect in terms of the way it's structured. I've got a couple things that still need to be. That's a subdivision that I just turned on, so you can step down the subdivision levels like this, subdivide, unsubdivide. So kind of a work in progress, and I was trying to figure out how to make the appropriate kind of creases in the head and make it sort of humanoid without looking too strange, making a collar piece. And so I've been making some modifications, and I decided to push it a little bit further and take it into Vizcom, which Vizcom is this AI tool originally built for automotive, but it's a pretty extensive kit that allows you to take either source images or even use prompt engineering to then define 2D objects. But they also started building out this 3D tool set where you can, at least in the pro version of Vizcom, and I'll show you a little bit about that. Let me just shift over for a second to Vizcom. I believe I still have it open. So that silo model that I had subdivided, I made a very quick render of using Milo, which is the kind of complementary package that Silo Never Center has to allow you to view your models and then either make quick still renders or turntable animations, that kind of thing. And what I found is that this is a really useful way to get something into another package that you'll use for making an AI edit. And if we take a look right here, so the prompt happens automatically within Vizcom. A gray abstract humanoid robot with elongated head. That seemed pretty accurate for this. And then it allows you to select references. So it can be materials, it can be style, it can be color. And in this case, what I did is I actually used some other content that I had made myself. So I based it a little bit on a picture of me to make it a little bit more humanoid type features. I also used some renders that I had already made. So it's another model that I started in Silo. Actually, I started in VR in blocks, open blocks, and then I moved it into Silo, made a couple more edits, combined it with Townscaper. I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but Townscaper is a really cool kind of 3D town creation application that there's a Steam game and there's also a VR version, but I was using the Steam version. And then I just had these as source images, some content that I had put together as source images to define the style. So I really liked the previous image that I put together. So that was the primary source that I was using that would define kind of the style that was developed here. And then this feature kit that they have in here for 3D. So they've modified this over time. It started out as just generate 3D and it was in a beta. And now they have both standard, or not both, but they have standard, sharp, and smooth. I've had better results with smooth, especially on something that doesn't have crisp edges. So my original 3D model was not that sharp in terms of the way that I built the loops on the sides of the ears and even on the face and things like that. So it seemed to translate pretty well. And then this, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And this is the 3D version of it that was generated from Smooth, which then you can take this and I think I need to back out a little bit. It looks like I got a little bit of screen freeze. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wait for that page. But in the meantime, I'm going to jump over to Blender and show you what it looks like, because you can export directly from Vizcom, and there's different formats. It's OBJ or FBX, I found that especially if you're going to Blender, GLB works out pretty well because then the textures are already in a map. So if I go to texture paint and then shading, you can see that it comes in pretty well. Now, not everything is going to be in the original model. If I switch over to modeling view, it's already triangulated. It's a fairly dense mesh, but it's pretty well put together. There's a couple areas which are a little strange, which I feel like if I were going to spend real time on this, I would like to retopologize. A couple of these areas right in here, that's minor. The forehead is probably the biggest area, which I'd like to do some retopoing. The way that the loops are functioning here is a little bit wonky, but I can live with that. Fact of the matter is, this is more just to test what's possible to be able to take something. Now, I can go back into Silo and then model according to what's built here, and that's what I plan to do, is take this as a placeholder, send it back to Silo. It informs the way I will make further edits. But it's also nice to be able to display this. This is fantastic for me because I feel like then I can make edits directly. I'm not that great at Blender, honestly, but I can use the texture painting features and even the sculpting features. So originally when the model came in, and this sometimes happens with Vizcom, there's additional content. Like there were these little kind of cubes that were made, I guess, as part of the background. It was picking up that cityscape in the background and building it as these 3D shapes that were behind here. And that was pretty simple to do in Blender. I could just delete all the vertices and faces, and then just move forward. And I also made some edits. The eyes weren't quite spherical enough, and I still need to smooth that a little bit more, but I could do that directly in the sculpting menu. You know, you can make direct edits. That's not the greatest edit, but you get the idea. And then you can then go into texture paint. And I did a little bit of texture painting, not anything crazy, but I will make further modifications, especially I want to repair some of what's happening on the eyes. But tell you what, for a first pass, based on what was built in Vizcom, this is looking pretty good to me. And just shows the tremendous potential of using, I don't want to insert a keyframe there. Tremendous potential of tools like Vizcom to go from, well, in my case, I'm going from 3D, getting a 2D render, building it back into 3D. These kind of steps would have taken me hours or maybe even days, whereas now it's done so quickly. And now I get an idea of what I would like my final model to look like. And of course, I could build it out and make it so that it's ready for rigging or animation or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm going to take this model that far, but I love that kind of flexibility that using Silo in combination with Vizcom and then even back into Blender can give you.